I want to welcome you to the Executive Service Corps Celebration of Volunteer Service Luncheon. Woohoo! You can give yourselves a round of applause for being here, because you're doing the good work, volunteering time, efforts, resources, donating money, also very important. My name is G. Suki, otherwise known as just G, like the letter G. I'm a features reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times, where I focus on entertainment and food stories. And I host a video series called The Grid, where I visit a bunch of Chicago neighborhoods. You know, there's like 77 of them, and even a lot more because of the micro neighborhoods. And you can watch my videos on the Sun-Times website. But most importantly for today, I am your MC. So I am going to hopefully painlessly guide you through this luncheon, and you can really enjoy it. It's actually a super fun event. So I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm very honored to be here with you. Now, each year, the Executive Service Corps engages the talents of hundreds of volunteer consultants and coaches to fulfill ESC's mission of making nonprofits successful. So thank you so much for being here to celebrate and support that important work. As I said, many of you are involved in this very important work one way or the other. Now, joining us today is Rochelle Jervis. Let's give her a round of applause. President and CEO of the Executive Service Corps, or ESC. Now, before leading the ESC, Rochelle served as Regional Director, Illinois Chapter Director, and Chicago Area Director for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is actually where I met her when she encouraged me to share my story about my father's suicide at the Out of Darkness Walk. So she is a very pivotal, important person in my life, as I'm sure all of you feel the same way about her too. So Rochelle was a founding member of the board of the Chicago Friends School and a board member of Asperatech. Her proudest accomplishment is helping her late daughter Constance overcome epilepsy and autism in order to learn how to speak. She is absolutely remarkable. I know we all feel that way. Let's give her a hearty round of applause as we welcome Rochelle Jervis.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay, awesome. So thank you all for being here to support the Executive Service Corps. Each year, ESC consultants and coaches help hundreds of local nonprofit organizations. Their work impacts millions of members of our community. Please stand up so that we can thank you, ESC board members and life directors. Please stand. Thank you. Thank you to this year's honorees who, your inspired commitment to our community, thank you all. For ESC to continue to support hundreds of nonprofits and millions of people in our community, we need you to give to ESC. In the 41-year history of our organization, there has never been a bigger need for individual donations to ESC. Foundation dollars aren't focused on capacity building, and our nonprofit clients struggle to pay our fees. We need all of you to decide that the work we do matters, and we need all of you to decide to keep our doors open. There is a blue piece of paper at everyone's place. Looks like this. Please pick it up and hold it over your head. It is your opportunity to give something to ESC today. Now, a brief aside. If you're a jerk, don't donate. This is only for good people. Bad people shouldn't contribute. We don't want bad people's money. But if you are not a jerk, fill out this piece of paper. So good luck to you. It's a real test, and I will be judging all of you later. And not quietly, as you all know. So once you've completed the piece of paper, please stand up and remain standing. A volunteer will come over and get the paper from you, and we're going to try to get everyone to stay standing so that we can clap for everyone who's made a donation. So fill out the paper and stand up. And for the couple of you who very generously handed me checks earlier today, you can just put your name on it. I didn't lose your check, and you don't have to give 10 minutes later. So thank you. So if you want to do that, we'll wait till you stand. So thank you all so much for your donations. Can we give a hand to everybody? If that applies to you, if you could please stand back up so we can acknowledge your gift. If you've given more than $1,000, please stand. Thank you all. Thank you for your generosity. Okay, I will move on to my second request. The good news is it's not money. So this request is for individuals serving on nonprofit board of directors. This request is for you. Board members, as you look to seek new members of your board and leaders of your organizations, consider diverse and inclusive candidates first. Our community is not a monolith. We are fortunate to have access to a wide range of talents from people with diverse abilities, disabilities, backgrounds, ages, gender identities, sexual orientations, religions, races, social identities, needs, origins, and appearances. If you do not know an exceptional leader with a diverse background, please let ESC know, and we'd be happy to do an executive search to help you find them. To help ensure that your new leader is successful, you can invest in ESC's executive coaching for them. Every leader starts by leading with one first opportunity. You can give them that opportunity. Okay, now it's time for my third and final ask, and this is to those of you in a leadership role in a nonprofit organization. Congratulations, you've made it to the top. It is now your duty to turn around, stretch out your hand, and help someone else go up the ladder. Don't dance on the glass ceiling, smash it. Like a bee going from flower to flower, you can multiply your impact by volunteering as an executive coach or consultant for ESC and help serve many organizations while lifting up your fellow nonprofit professionals. As nonprofit leaders, another important way that you can be more inclusive is to ensure that every event you organize and every job you post includes information welcoming everyone and offering information about how to request accommodations. Adaptive tools such as live captioning and American Sign Language should be available and in an organization's budget, happily provided whenever requested. In conclusion, my three asks are pretty simple. First, give generously to ESC, and thank you all for doing that. Second, recruit diverse and inclusive candidates to leadership roles. Third, when you find yourself in a leadership role, use that as an opportunity to help others climb up behind you. Thank you all for your time and your commitment to ESC.
Wow, Rochelle drives a hard bargain. I never saw an entire group held hostage by standing up. I know you guys really wanted that salad, especially this front table. No, I have to tell you though, all of you that are associated with nonprofits, you have to be tough. I mean, it's incredible the work you do, and just, you know, you're really good, incredible, inspirational, tough bunch. So it's really a pleasure to be here with you. So I want to thank you for your donations. They're so very appreciated, and now I'd like to welcome someone else you will know and is a very familiar face, Whitney Reynolds. She's host of PBS's The Whitney Reynolds Show. She's going to come up to the stage. Look, she looks so beautiful in her red to help us present the Philanthropic Civic Leader of the Year Award.
Hello everyone, how are we doing? I know that you can have a little bit more fun than that. How are we doing? We're off for lunch, we're getting honored, and we're having awards to well-deserved people. Well, I host and own the Whitney Reynolds Show. It is on PBS here in Chicagoland home base, but we just launched in Florida as of tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that. And with it, we do big topics, so we actually have a ton of nonprofits on my show. Just like amazing people like you. So if you have an amazing topic from your group, I want to hear about it. I want you to send us your idea. But I am not here to talk about me. I am here to present a big award. So let's hear it for Michelle Morales. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Mikvah Challenge, Illinois. Prior to Mikvah Challenge, she worked predominantly in the field of alternative education. She taught at an alternative high school in Chicago's Humboldt Park community and was the program manager and associate director at the Alternative School Network. At Mikvah Challenge, Michelle leads a staff of 27 in providing professional development and training to over 200 teachers in Chicagoland and in areas of action civics and student-centered teaching, as well as facilitating 8 youth councils throughout Chicago that advise major city institutions. Michelle earned a BA from DePaul University, a master's in special education from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and a master's in education leadership from Northeastern Illinois University. Michelle is also a fellow at Leadership Greater Chicago. Michelle serves on the board of directors for City Bureau and the Crossroads Fund. She also is on the steering committee for the University of Chicago's Consortium on School Research. Having worked with youth in a variety of capacities, Michelle is passionate about the wealth of expertise and the wisdom that youth possess. Understanding that they continue to be a group that is largely marginalized and disenfranchised, she has committed her career to advocating for the involvement of the youth voice and to ensure that spaces are created throughout Chicago that empower our youth. ESC is proud to present Michelle Morales with the 2019 Philanthropic Civic Leader of the Year Award. Let's welcome her up.
I'm a little worried I have salad in my teeth, so I'm just going to scarf down my salad. I'm also a proud recipient of ESC. When I started as the CEO of Mikvah Challenge 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, it was actually my first leadership role in that capacity. And I had not ever really handled budgets before, if you can believe it. In all of my leadership roles throughout my nonprofit career, many of my former, so speaking about spreading the wealth of knowledge, most of my former bosses never really had me read budgets, touch a budget, etc. And so I reached out to ESC, panicked, because as a new leader of a chapter, I obviously needed to know budgets, I needed to know how to read financial statements. Got an amazing consultant from ESC who tutored me monthly, walked me through financial statements, and as I was networking, in conversations with someone, really reminded me not only of the expertise that ESC brings, but also the compassion. The consultants really have amazing hearts. Often when you get consultants in nonprofit spaces, they don't really kind of care to know sometimes about the nonprofit space or the stuff you're dealing with. And I remember my assigned consultant took the time, came to all of my events, came to our benefit. He didn't have to do that. I mean, just really extraordinary. So Rochelle, everything you guys are doing to build an organizational culture like that with the consultants at nonprofits, we appreciate. You're in the room as well because you know that nonprofits, we do not get paid to build out our infrastructure. We get paid only to provide programming, and it's really hard to convince funders and nonprofits to invest in infrastructure. It's been one of my main priorities as the CEO of Mikvah Challenge is to build out our infrastructure. So ESC helps to bridge that gap for many of us when we have large gaps, obviously, in our organizational infrastructure. The other thing is that at Mikvah Challenge, if people here know our work, you know that we not only train young people and help them to engage civically and in our country and our nation, but a huge part of our work is also advocating on their behalf. A huge part of what I do is to advocate for their bravery, their creativity, and their brilliance. And there's been a lot of youth in the news lately, so this is why my remarks are like this. But youth and youth of color are often fodder for folks in the media. We often make fun of teenagers, we often demonize them. If you say the P word, the puberty word, right? We all kind of have visceral reactions either because we remember our own experience or because we're parents of teenagers and are currently going through their amazing, incredible intense experience. I have a 14-year-old at home. So, but right, they're often jokes. We make jokes, right? Sometimes we make jokes just because we don't know how to engage with teens. And I say that because right now in the media, just recently, teens, particularly teens of color, who came downtown over spring break, were spoken of as though they were a plague descending on the downtown area. And my call to action for the room, yes, I wanted to thank for the award, but as most people who know me well know that I always make a call to action in any room that I'm in, is for those of us to read between the lines of what was said in the media. To remind ourselves that the young people who came downtown on spring break, and if any of you who are a parent of a middle schooler or a high schooler who is not yet of age to work in the city of Chicago, so I'm talking 12 to 14 or 12 to 16, there is not much to do in the city, particularly if you are not of means. I am lucky that I am a middle-class parent. I was able to take my son on vacation to New York. If you are not of means, your child is sitting at home, not doing a whole lot, probably. And if the home is unstable, they are looking for something to do. The young people who came downtown during spring break came downtown because they were looking for something to do, which if we remember our teen years, we all did this. I went to the mall. How many of you know that malls now have supervision policies where young people under the age of 18 are not allowed to be in the mall without a parent? Okay, I was able to go to the mall freely without a parent. I say this because those young people don't have anything in their communities. Many of us, maybe even in this room, who may have power, may have political will, the infrastructures are not built out in their community. And when they search for something bigger, brighter, and better, we blame them. So my call to action in the room is that if you're engaging with teens, if you don't engage with teens, I ask that you do. If you're an organization leader, invite teens in. If you are someone that has some sort of influence in the city, in some sector, can move some political will, help to do so. Because the more and more and more that we ignore our neighborhoods and our communities and do not create their infrastructure, and not pay attention to their needs and yet blame when they reach out, the more and more those communities will not stay silent. And so I hope that you'll join us at Mikvah Challenge and try to create a better city for not just the some, but for everyone, including our young people. Thank you.
Congratulations, Michelle. Gary Grom, where are you, Gary? He's the founder of Christian Outreach for Africa, board president of St. Peter Lutheran Church and School, and former senior vice president of HR for Sara Lee. And Gary's going to join me here at the podium to honor this year's Consultant of the Year. So as we mentioned earlier, the work of ESC would not be possible without the hundreds of consultants, coaches, volunteers, and donors that provide ESC services in the community. Now, an ESC consultant since 2004, Michael Thompson's client work focuses on strategic planning, board development, coaching, funding development, organization, training, executive transition management, social enterprise, compensation performance management, and meeting facilitation. I don't know what half of that means, but it's very impressive. Now, since joining ESC, Mike has worked on or led more than 100 engagements with more than 50 different organizations. Now, previously, Mike was managing director of Frederick W. Cook and Company, responsible for the Chicago office. Now, Cook and Company is a consulting firm specializing in the design of programs linking compensation to performance. Now, earlier in his career, Mike held human resources management positions with the Sara Lee Corporation, Zenith Electronics, I think we used to have a Zenith television growing up, and Continental Illinois National Bank. Now, his educational background includes an MBA in finance. Listen to the diversity of this. An MBA in finance, master's in philosophy, and a Bachelor of Arts in philosophy and French, all from DePaul University. Now, Mike also serves as the chair of the Executive Action Team of the United Palatine Coalition, a collective impact initiative in Palatine, Illinois, is the president of St. Teresa Conference of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and is a partner with Social Venture Partners Chicago. Now, he lives in Palatine and is also engaged in a number of additional service activities, including the grouping feedback discernment team for Renew My Church at St. Teresa, Faith Community Homes, Palatine Faith in Action, Institute of Continued Learning of Roosevelt University, multiple programs of the Palatine Township Senior Citizens Council, including site coordinator for the AARP Tax Aid Program. Palatine is really lucky to have you, Mike. The Community Impact Steering Committee of the North-Northwest region of United Way of Metro Chicago, and mentoring and other activities with DePaul University's ASK program. Now, previous board memberships include Family Hope Charity, Jobs for Youth Chicago, Palatine Township, Human Needs Committee, United Way of Metropolitan Chicago, and Northwest Suburban United Way. You can tell Mike is a real underachiever, okay, everyone? At ESC, Mike has donated approximately 10,000 hours of service to ESC. Yes, that's impressive. And continues to innovate by spearheading new initiatives and service expansion. Now, the Executive Service Corps is honored to present Michael Thompson with the 2019 Nonprofit Consultant of the Year Award. And Gary, you have a couple of words, right?
The good news is my comments will be brief. I met Mike, and first of all, it's always stimulating to be in a room with people that understand their obligations in life and obligation to give back to community. So I applaud you for that. I applaud you for attending this and supporting ESC. I met Mike in 1988 when we hired him in the Sara Lee Corporation. He and I worked together for many years in business. We've also worked together in many years for nonprofit projects, not all with ESC. But more importantly than that, he has been a good friend for 31 years. So I feel qualified to talk to you briefly about Mike Thompson and this important award for him. Do you know what was just said about Mike Thompson? You remember what she just said? He's worked for ESC since 2004. He has led 100 projects helping non-for-profit organizations with strategic planning and business planning become more successful to serve their communities better. He has donated over 10,000 hours to ESC, in addition to hundreds, probably thousands of hours to other non-for-profit organizations that he has a passion for. As I thought about all this, I felt a bit embarrassed with my level of giving and sharing. And I've made a commitment to maybe step up my game a bit in the future. I would challenge you to step up your game also. He is a wonderful example of what it means to give something back to the community. I have never met anyone so humble and yet so passionate about serving and giving back to the community. You know, we all look good for a day, don't we? Or a week, or a month, or a year. But the big test for us all is how do we handle the long journey of life? And I am here to confirm to you that Mike has passed the test of time. Successful business career and an amazing life of serving and giving of his time, his talents, and his money. I suspect that Mike is a bit embarrassed with this award because of his humility, never wanting to be in the limelight. All he wanted to do was serve. Does anybody remember Harry Porterfield? He was a wonderful TV personality, a wonderful announcer. Does anybody know his famous segment he had on a weekly basis?
People you should know.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was people you should know. It was not about famous people. It was about people in the Chicagoland community that did some amazing things with their life. Astounding things. It was what news should all be about. That is, let's celebrate the good people in the world. That's what Harry Porterfield did. I remember it vividly. So many of them were amazing people doing things, but also many of them were about them serving their community. I wish Harry Porterfield was still doing his bit, because I'd be recommending Mike Thompson for the award and to be one of the segments for his show. Now, Harry is not with us, but I would challenge you to spend some time to get to know this very good man and this wonderful award that is so deserving of him. He is definitely, I guarantee you, he is definitely someone you should know. Thank you. I told you he was humble.
Can we give a big round of applause to Mike, who doesn't even want to say anything? Oh my goodness. Mike, you are salt of the earth. That is so true. Okay. All right. Ernie Mahaffey is the president of DI Group. Where are you, Ernie? Oh, great. Co-founder of CBEID, founding board member of the Chicago Shakespeare Theater, and an ESC engagement manager now. Ernie will be presenting this year's Executive Director of the Year Award.
I want to say first that I have served with Mike Thompson, and everything is true. Mike Thompson has also served with the Erie Neighborhood House. I'm pleased to say that I introduced Mike Thompson to the Erie Neighborhood House, I think. Many people introduced me to the Erie Neighborhood House. I'm glad to have taken him over there. We've all had wonderful experience with Erie Neighborhood House. And I would say just one thing more from my perspective. As a consultant since 2006, there is just no organization that I know that can get that much out of retirees as they have from us. And it's all been incredibly rewarding. It all goes in this way, and there is plenty of output as well. So thank you to ESC. I'm here to introduce Kirsten Chernowski. She's just the 9th individual and the 4th woman to serve as Executive Director of Erie Neighborhood House, a 150-year-old social service nonprofit providing cradle-to-career resources to primarily immigrant families. This is a surviving settlement house in the great Chicago tradition. She is a tireless advocate for the mission and brings a strong background in nonprofit administration and strategic fundraising. Kirsten applies her leadership expertise by volunteering with numerous organizations across the city of Chicago. She's board treasurer for the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, a board member with Susan G. Komen Chicago and Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force. Kirsten sits on the Mayor-elect Lori Lightfoot's Human and Health Services Transition Committee and was appointed by Mayor Rahm Emanuel to serve on the 2017-2019 Community Development Advisory Committee. Kirsten is also a member of the Economic Club of Chicago, Chicago Women Philanthropy, philosophy, almost said, could be, and a class of 2019 Leadership Greater Chicago Fellow. Kirsten holds a Master of Science in Public Service Management and a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, both from DePaul. She is a proud breast cancer survivor and avid Cubs fan. She lives in Chicago's Old Town neighborhood with her husband, dog, and cat. Kirsten's pioneering leadership as Executive Director of Erie Neighborhood House, service to our industry as a whole, and relentless efforts to make human services accessible to underserved communities is why ESC proudly presents her with the 2019 Executive Director of the Year Award.
Good afternoon. Ernie, Rochelle, thank you so much. This is the first award I've ever received, so thank you. And I'm truly humbled to stand up here today. I'm used to these being in the evening, so I almost said tonight. Today, with such distinguished honorees, especially good friends Mike and Michelle. Being an executive director is truly collaborative work. I am beyond lucky to have such a strong support system with my family and a fierce group of friends doing amazing work throughout the city, including, again, Rochelle and Michelle. But I would not be standing here today were it not for Erie House's exceptional board and staff, many of whom are here today. They are the true honorees this afternoon, so could you please join me in giving them a round of applause? As you heard from Ernie, Erie Neighborhood House is a social service nonprofit that for 150 years has been providing cradle-to-career services to primarily immigrant families. And as many of you in this room know, the struggle is real. There are some of the obvious challenges navigating a post-budget crisis Illinois, increasingly competitive fundraising, and a national administration that is particularly unkind to immigrants and refugees. But I have actually found that it's the seemingly smaller obstacles that are the real hurdles. Policy decisions that are made in vacuums, resulting in unintended consequences for our staff and participants. Unfairly measuring nonprofit success by how little they invest in overhead, creating a scarcity model that is more costly in the long run. Public contracts and private grants that won't fund salaries, telling nonprofit employees that their work is not valued. And one-year grants as opposed to multi-year contracts that require an overdependence on administrative work and perpetuate the false narrative that nonprofits should be self-sustaining. So if you'll humor me for just a moment, I like to imagine the corporate sector operating under this same model. I can just hear corporate Erie House's recruitment strategy now. We'd love to have you join the Erie House Corporation. You'll play an integral role in your community. Preschool teacher, immigration attorney, adult educator, or mental health therapist. And to compensate you for this very rewarding, yet incredibly challenging work, you will be paid under market value. You will have a corner office that you share with just 3 people. You will have all of your supplies and resources donated, and you will receive little to no professional development unless you can find a very rare grant to pay for it. Google and Facebook would be shaking in their boots with their measly nap pads and juice bars. In all seriousness, I share these challenges with you to underscore the importance of Executive Service Corps. The dedicated volunteers at ESC make it possible for nonprofits like Erie House to access the mentoring and consultation we need to survive. Over the years, their unique model has allowed for Erie House to affordably invest in this vital infrastructure, such as strategic planning, exploring social enterprise initiatives, and HR audit and employee retention programming. But they face some of the same challenges I mentioned previously. Events like this luncheon help to ensure their sustainability and future support of organizations like Erie House and Mikvah Challenge. So please give generously this afternoon and be sure to thank both Rochelle and the ESC mentors for their service and dedication to Chicago's nonprofit sector. Thank you.
Give her another round of applause. I'm sure this is just going to be the first of many awards to come in your future. So thank you for your incredible work. John Rosenheim founded Universal Training Systems Company, served on the boards of Michael Reese Hospital, National Louis University, the Chicago City Ballet, the Board of Education for Highland Park, and is a recently retired ESC Engagement Manager. Now, John is joining us here on the platform near the podium. And as we honor this year's Philanthropist of the Year. Now, the word that best describes Bob Greenbaum's service and support of the nonprofit community is commitment. He makes long-term, lasting investments, not only of his time, but also of his treasures. Bob has been on the board of trustees of Steppenwolf Theater for 30 years and serves on the boards, of the Wholesale and Specialty Insurance Association and the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center at Colorado College. Now, Bob's father, Robert Greenbaum, was a founding member, board member, and 25-year consultant at ESC. Now, Bob is followed in his father's footsteps, serving in leadership roles on ESC's board of directors for the better part of a decade. Now, this included service on the executive committee, audit committee, governance committee, as board secretary, and on and on and on. ESC is proud to present Bob Greenbaum with the 2019 Philanthropist of the Year Award. And of course, Bob, you're headed up here, right? Come on up, and while you're headed up here, I think you've got a few words, right? John, come on up.
Philanthropy is defined as a love of humanity and initiatives of public good that focus on the quality of life. There are 170 philanthropists here this afternoon, and I'm delighted to recognize all of you in addition to the Philanthropist of the Year, Bob Greenbaum. This award, which hopefully will be given in the future as well, recognizes an individual who has demonstrated commitment to improving the quality of life for the public good. Bob Greenbaum, my sister's son, is the recipient of his first ESC Philanthropy Award. Bob's father, my brother-in-law, Bob Greenbaum, was a philanthropist as well, as is Bob's mother. Bob has been a founding member of the Bob Sr. was a founding member of the ESC board and a consultant for 23 years. 28 years ago, he twisted my arm and said, "Why don't you join Executive Service Corps?" And as salesman as he was, I guess I joined it as well. Bob Jr. is a graduate of Colorado College and the University of Chicago School of Business. He's Executive Vice President and National Practice Group Leader of CRC Group, which is a major casualty insurance company. If you need insurance, talk to him. Bob is an industry leader serving on the board of the Wholesale and Specialty Insurance Association. And in addition, in his earlier days, also in the insurance field, he was with Marsh McLennan and Willis, and he's known for his ability to handle tough jobs, tough placements. So if you have a need for insurance, better check Bob out. Bob has demonstrated his commitment as an ESC director over the last years. He's been on the executive committee, the audit committee, the governance committee, the board, and served as board's secretary. So Bob's been deeply involved in what has made ESC governance so successful over the years. This first time Philanthropy of the Year award recognizes Bob for his amazing philanthropic commitments to diverse organizations. Bob, along with his wife Amy, have been active with Steppenwolf Theater Company. Bob himself has been on that board for 35 years. Bob has been very active in the field of autism research and education. He's been very active as a philanthropist with Easter Seals that serves a lot of those with autism, the Adaptive Sports Center, Jewish Charities, Northwestern University, Colorado College, University of Chicago, Ravinia Festival, and a host of 30-some other organizations to which Bob has contributed his funds as well as his commitment. I'm proud to claim Bob Greenbaum, ESC's Philanthropist of the Year, as my nephew and friend. Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you very much, John, or should I say Uncle John, for your kind and gracious introduction. You've been a very big role model for me all my life, and I'd just like to say thank you and a happy 90th birthday last week. I am honored and humbled to receive this recognition about giving, especially from an organization that is dedicated to giving. Speaking of Uncle John, my path to learning about philanthropy began with family. The spirit of giving can be genetic, it seems. My mother, Nancy, Mom, raise your hand. John's sister is here today. And growing up, I was raised by my mom and dad to realize how fortunate I was and that giving back was the right thing to do, always. I watched as they tirelessly donated their time and resources to many worthy causes, and I never considered there to be any other way. Cousin Dan Weil, at that table, is another fine example of that genetic material at work. Volunteerism has been a long-standing tradition in our family, and I'm particularly proud of the fact that my wife Amy and our daughter Jamie adopted that tradition early on in our lives together. I think 30-year-old Jamie is already serving on more boards than we are. Let me just say what I often say about ESC and why it is such a great organization. And I quote, "I donate to ESC because I get great value for my donated dollar. I know of no bigger bang for the buck than a nonprofit serving multiple nonprofits." End quote. A nonprofit that serves nonprofits? How cool is that? If you want to feel good about doing good, then ESC is an organization that will make you happy when you support their mission of making nonprofits successful. In closing, as you heard earlier, I have many different types of causes that I give my time and money to, and I hope you all do too. Diversity of choice makes me interested and motivated, and secure in the knowledge that making a difference is a sure way to lead a fulfilling life. Ultimately, it doesn't matter where or how you give, just give. I'd like to thank the ESC family, the board, and especially Rochelle for this wonderful honor. Have a giving day.
Congratulations, Bob, and happy birthday, John. Let's give him another round of applause. Okay, So we have found ourselves to the very last award. We did it, group. Fantastic job. Please welcome Don Surata. He's going to join me here on at the podium, on the platform. There you are, very nice. He's the president and partner of Turmolen, Watkins, and Brand, and board member of the Davenport Junior Theater. And he's here to help us present the Philanthropic Lifetime Achievement Award. Take it away, Don.
Thank you, and congratulations to all of the honorees on your achievements. It certainly is very inspirational for every one of us here. I am honored to recognize the lifetime achievements of Clyde Watkins. And the great thing about Clyde is that he makes it all look so easy. Clyde truly has the qualities of an Executive Service Corps honoree. He has been in the field of development for almost 50 years, and Clyde started his career at the University of Chicago in the School of Education. He served as president of the Northwestern Memorial Hospital Foundation, and before he became a fundraising consultant, he was vice president of external affairs at Illinois Institute of Technology. In Clyde's career, he's received many, many awards, and deservedly so, but I won't go through all of the awards that Clyde has received over the years. I will tell you that he volunteers with he founded the Hyde Park Historical Society and volunteers with the Historical Society of Oak Park and River Forest. But some of the examples of the recognition he has received include the AFP Chicago Chapter's Benjamin Franklin Award, which is the chapter's highest honor. He's been named the Annual Giving Roundtable's Fundraiser of the Year. But when I think of the achievements that Clyde has, his accomplishments in his lifetime, and the things that I think would make him most proud, three things come to mind. And I am confident that at the top of the list is his family. His wife Cheryl is here today, and they have four children, four wonderful children, and 7 beautiful grandchildren. And I've got to tell you something, Clyde and Cheryl have got a fantastic family, and I've had the honor to get to know them all. Aside from family, professionally, I suspect that another area of pride for Clyde is the creation of the Development Leadership Consortium. Now, I think that we have some alumni from the DLC here today, and I thank you for being with us. Clyde founded the Development Leadership Consortium more than 20 years ago, and the Development Leadership Consortium is an organization whose mission is to mentor fundraising professionals who are new to the field and to engage them throughout their careers, to encourage their professional growth and encourage them to be connected leaders of the Chicago philanthropic community and beyond. Anybody here who has involvement in recruiting fundraising professionals knows how important it is to attract talent to our industry. So when I think of an accomplishment that Clyde has given to philanthropy, the vision and the execution to create the Development Leadership Consortium, no doubt, is a huge accomplishment. Because of that, and because of his nature, Clyde has personally mentored and encouraged and inspired generations of philanthropic professionals. The DLC is now its own 501c3 and has produced more than 500 alumni. I have to believe that another area of pride for Clyde in his professional life is the creation of the fundraising consulting firm he co-founded in 2003, Turmolen, Watkins, and Brand. He developed this firm on integrity and excellent customer service, and through his work with TW&B, Clyde has had an immeasurable impact on philanthropy in the region. But every fundraiser can struggle, even Clyde. And when Clyde was just starting out, one of his first assignments was with the Milwaukee Art Museum's campaign to fund the beautiful Calatrava edition. Clyde, I'm sorry to say, struggled to get that project beyond $100 million. After this disaster, he staged a comeback by serving as counsel to the St. Louis Art Museum's capital campaign, and unfortunately was only able to help them raise $160 million. But Clyde bounced back. He served as counsel for a recent comprehensive campaign for Loyola University, and this time he finally redeemed himself by helping Loyola successfully complete a $500 million campaign. As you could probably tell, Clyde and I have had a good deal of fun over the last few years that I've had the pleasure of working with him. And here's the point of my remarks, and here's the truth. In Chicago, Clyde is a fundraising legend, pure and simple. What he has achieved has been done with compassion and generosity and never been at the expense of someone else. Clyde is the quintessential good guy and a deeply, deeply loyal one. I've been very lucky to have my career path cross his, and even more lucky to have him in my life and call him my friend. So it is my honor to present Clyde Watkins the Lifetime Achievement Award for the Executive Service Corps 2019.
Exciting to be the last speaker, I must say. I want to thank you very much for this special recognition. It means a lot to me coming at the conclusion of my professional career. My career as a volunteer, of course, is going to continue. I'm looking forward, however, to having the time to provide direct service to those in need, as opposed to focusing primarily on organizations that exist to address their needs, as critical and important as that is. Having spent a life in consulting and fundraising, I haven't been able to work with the recipients of largesse, and I'm anxious to add that to my volunteer experience. That is, in fact, the single point that I would like to make today. We're living in a time of significant change on many fronts, but the one that concerns me the most is the reduction of government's role at all levels as the provider of social service support to our citizens, especially our neediest citizens. To survive as the kind of civilization that we value, I believe each of us must commit personally to spending more time, energy, compassion, and financial resources helping our fellow men and women. If we don't step up, who will? And those of you in this audience who have demonstrated your capacity for generosity and leadership and volunteerism, I admire you for that. We have to carry the message forward that everyone now has a responsibility to help as members of our larger community. Let's all commit to continuing that effort. Thank you for this honor.
Congratulations, Clyde, and congratulations to all of our honorees. If all the honorees, do you want them to come up? If all the honorees, so Clyde, you can't sit down yet, I'm so sorry. If all the honorees would come up for a group photo, that would be great. But this concludes our luncheon. Thank you to all of our presenters. Thank you for everybody for being here on the behalf of hundreds of nonprofits and the millions of Chicagoans that benefit from ESC's work. Thank you for coming and for being such an attentive audience. We really appreciate you. And thank you for your support. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. It's beautiful outside. Thanks so much. They should step out from behind the podium.
Yeah, no, they feel so happy about it. John, Anthony. And these are our clients from our previous jobs together in HR. Yeah. Terrific. I know. It's pretty good. I'm going to run to the restroom. Okay. Take a couple of Hi, John. How are you? Hi. How are you? I'm good. How are you? We got the whole day together. I'm sorry.
Good to meet somebody new. Congratulations to your boss.
Yeah.
That's great.